All right, YouTube. Happy Sunday after Thanksgiving. I had a little free time, so I wanted to kind of go over my three Bowie knives. I've kind of got something for everybody here. This is the cold steel marauder Bowie with the Secure-X sheath. This is the Ontario Knife Company SP10 Marine Raider Bowie with a nylon sheath. And I have the Condor Undertaker Bowie, which comes with a very nice, like chocolate brown leather sheath. And I have always been a huge fan of Bowie knives. To me, they just scream America. Wild West, cowboy, it's a Bowie knife. And there's advantages and disadvantages to all three of these knives. So, firstly, my personal favorite sheath in the whole wide world is Cold Steel's Secure-X sheath. It's lightweight and it dangles so that you can, when you have a blade this size on your hip, it can get in the way of buckling your seatbelt and things like this. And that's what I really like about this sheath is that, with this retention strap just buttoned inside of here, I don't use that button strap because it locks into the Secure-X sheath here pretty well. There's little nubs inside of here. You can see there and there and there and there that this rubber guard, when it goes into the sheath, it doesn't click in per se, but you get that nice lock in. So your Marauder Bowie is not just going to fall out. You can kind of hear it almost click in, but like a rubber click. And the Marauder Bowie itself is, I want to say it's 4 millimeters thick, and it's AUS 8A stainless. So it's super rust resistant, stain resistant, and looks good even after all this time. Now, the Ontario Marine Raider Bowie, the SP10, is 1095 carbon steel. It is a full 1/4 inch thick, and it really is just a gorgeous knife. The swedge here does not come sharpened, and it's actually, at one point I had it sharpened, and then I actually cut myself on the swedge, trying to do some woodworking, and I went ahead and just grinded that back down. So that's why that top is exposed steel. And it's got a few spots of rust. This thing has been kayaking with me and everything, but that I'll just take some 2000 grit sandpaper and just sort of buff that off, and she'll be as good as new. Nice thick steel guard here. Big fat giant girthy rubber handle. It's not going to come out of your hand. Between how just big and fat that handle is and this rubber heel on here, it really is a great Bowie knife. I'm not a big fan of their sheath. It comes with this button that buttons over the guard, and it comes with, you can see where I cut the threads. There's also a snap closure up here that goes around, the handle. There's no reason for that. I didn't like it. It was always in the way. I would have a hard time getting the knife back in the sheath, and this guard getting all wangled up on that other snap closure. So I finally just did away with that. The sheath has a plastic liner, so it's actually pretty easy to get the knife in and out of the sheath because it has plenty of play there. Now this knife is probably a year old. I carry it a lot. I really like this Bowie knife. It's very heavy, thick, strong, good steel, 1095. And even with the little spots of rust on there that I haven't cleaned off for this video, that edge is shaving sharp. I'm telling you, that edge right there is frighteningly sharp. Not the best sheath. Really, my only real complaint is that because this fabric is so wide and so thick that when it's hanging on your belt, you don't get any kind of like sideways forgiveness. It hangs straight on your belt, and you can't really, I mean, you know, you can kind of move it out of the way for, like I said earlier, you know, like a seatbelt or something, but the sheath leaves a lot to be desired as far as, you know, from here up. I would change something. Maybe something a little more similar to this. And last but certainly not least, this is probably one of the most beautiful Bowie knives I've ever seen in my life. It's the Condor Undertaker Bowie, 1075 carbon steel. Good thickness here. I want to say it's 5 millimeters. You know, I don't rehearse my videos. I don't have the specs in front of me. I just really wanted to show you these and get an idea for, you know, the size differences and the sheath differences. Now the handle, it is a coffin style handle, and it comes just smooth. There's no you know, grip or anything here. So what I've done is take a wood burner, and I wood burned some grips into this handle, almost kind of the Rocky Mountain thing, just because there's not a lot to catch your hand if you're swinging and it's raining or you're sweating, you know, you're you know, on a boat in the water, whatever the case may be, wet hands. So now it really gives you something, it really bites, and it's a lot, the grip feels a lot better. And while I was doing the grip, I went ahead and put my USMC on there. Hoorah to all my veteran brothers out there, whether Marines or other branches. One side of the blade, Condor. The other side, El Salvador. This Bowie knife has a very aggressive clip point, a nice belly. I don't know if I can show you on camera. Yeah, see that belly? The whole blade from tip to heel is just got this beautiful curve. Definitely a slicer and a sticker. And it comes with this leather sheath, which is pretty good. I've seen a lot of YouTube complaints that the sheath is so tight. Oh my God, it's so tight. Oh, I'm going to send the knife back. Oh God, it's tight. Oh, well, guys, come on. It's leather. I mean, if you buy work boots, leather work boots, you want to buy them nice and snug, because once this leather breaks in and softens up a little bit, you know, it's a good fit, comfortable fit, and it's not quite so hard to get the blade in and out, you know, and it is tight. I'm not going to tell you that it's not tight, but I've been wearing this knife every day for, I don't know, 2 weeks, and I got it in the sheath with one hand. That button snap is a pain in the butt, but I mean, it is what it is, you know, and then it snaps over the top guard, so you don't chop it off when you pull it out or put it in. But it's not going to willingly just pop out of there. You know, you got to kind of pull it out. And, you know, a little tricky with one hand, not on my belt. Now, on my belt, another YouTube video that I watched, the guy suggested that when you go to draw it, you force it kind of against your leg and pull straight out, and it comes right out of the sheath, and it really does. It works like a charm. So, pretty good sheath, plenty of room here. The loop is quite large, so you've got plenty of room to kind of swing it out of the way if you need to, seat belt, you know, what have you. But enough with the sheaths. If I had my way, every knife on the planet would come with a Secure-X sheath. They're lightweight. It's just my favorite sheath. I know a lot of guys like the leather. I like the Kydex type sheaths. So, these are my three amigos. Now you can see the blade lengths are pretty similar. The Marauder Bowie, I want to say that's a 9-inch blade, and that's like a 9.5 or 9 3/4. Pretty sure that's a 10-inch, straight up 10-inch blade. I mean, the thing is big. And actually, I didn't expect it to be this big when I ordered it. You know, I was used to carrying the Marauder or the SP10, and these are both sizable knives. This knife, I think you could probably use it as a crowbar and not break it. Now, I don't do that kind of stuff to my knives. I am a knife user. You know, I don't have safe queens. Never have, never will. I don't like purchasing knives that I can't or won't use. And as you can see from the Bowie knife variety that I have, these are all very affordable options. You're talking $90, $60, believe that or not, and you know, $80 to $100. I've seen them as low as $75. I've seen them as high as $110. If I was going to get dropped in the middle of the jungle with nothing but a knife, and I had to pick from these three, that would be a very hard decision. You know, I think stainless steel would not be a good survival choice. It's a beautiful knife. It's a strong knife. It does a great job, and it is wicked sharp. But, you know, the thickness of the stock here, I don't think, you know, being stainless, I don't think the thickness of that could compete with 1095 that's way, way, way thicker. You know, that the SP10 is just, this is a tank, a very good looking tank. I've heard guys complain about these glued on rubber handles. You know, I don't know. I can't imagine this handle coming off of this knife, but I suppose maybe it has happened to somebody. I don't know. But I would trust this with my life. I really would. And then you've got the full tang, you know, hardwood handle scales. You know, I don't know what kind of, you know, mahogany or something, but, you know, full tang, nice guard, generous guard. And it actually makes a really good chef knife because of that belly. It cuts almost like, you know, a chef knife. Your guard does get in the way before your blade bottoms out up here. But, you know, go to the edge of your table and you've got 10 inches of choppity chop. I don't even know. Dropped in the wilderness with one knife. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad that's not going to happen. I would probably take the 1/4-inch thick 1095 just because of the thickness. You know, it's a reputable company just like they all are. And I guess that's about it for the Bowie knives. You know, like I said, I don't write a script or anything. I don't rehearse my little YouTube videos and reviews. And I'm sure that I'm missing something here or there. I'm trying to line these up with one hand to kind of get a good idea of the thicknesses here. That didn't work. So, you know, the black is a little harder to see on camera, but, you know, all three of these are good choices for a Bowie knife. Now, I will say this knife is way much heavier than this knife. You know, Cold Steel is known for their tactical view of, bladed weapons. This thing is so light you would not believe it. Balance point is pretty much, I don't know, an inch up into the blade here, or up into the edge. And even the knife with the sheath, I mean, you forget you're wearing it. This is so light. These two combined is much lighter than either one of these. But, of course, the knife is not going to be as strong. You could stick that between, a rock and a hard place and break this probably without a whole lot of, forcing. But I guess that's all I have to say about these knives. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope it showed you something useful. If nothing else, get a good idea of the shape of each of these, because, a lot of guys, you might buy a knife because it looks good. So you can really get a good idea of the shape. The Cold Steel is sort of a thinner this way, drawn out, beautiful, beautiful long clip. Nice swedge grinds here. The grinds, of course, are even and very pretty. It's a Cold Steel. You can't go wrong. I mean, my everyday carry pocket knives are all Cold Steels. I'm a big fan of Cold Steel. Also a big fan of Condor. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at another knife, Condor knife, that I will be doing its own video on here. The Condor Bush Slicer. Firstly, this sheath is probably the finest sheath I have ever owned in my life. And I've owned a lot of different knives. I've sold a few. I've, lost a few. I've given many, many, many knives to my sons. This right here is by far the best knife sheath I have ever owned in my life, period. You can take the hip carry loop off and make it a scout carry. I mean, it's incredible. And the knife itself is absolutely incredible too. Very reasonable thickness on the blade stock. 1075 carbon steel. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 1095. This is one of the Condor 1095 steel knives. But this handle right here is absolutely the most comfortable handle you will ever hold in your life on a knife. I am telling you. Black linen micarta. And you want to talk about a chef knife. I mean, it's the Bush Slicer, but I'm telling you right now, this thing was born to prep food. And it's a great chopper. I've used it a lot to clear trails, hunting trails, deer trails. And it's a 6-inch blade, so you don't really have that like a Bowie knife where, you've got 10 inches. So when you're swinging, you get almost more of a machete kind of a strike. With the Bush Slicer, it's a little bit different as far as swinging it. It feels a little stubby if you're used to, if you're used to this blade and then you go to swinging this blade, it kind of feels a little bit stubby. But this knife would probably be just an excellent all-out survival knife. With the sheath, it comes with this beautiful gray Kydex. It snaps in. It's got the thumb ramp to make it easy to take off the sheath. I mean, this is the one, guys. If you're going to go be a hermit in the woods, take this knife with you. Even if you're going to take this knife and this knife, I would probably take them both. Sorry guys, getting a little off track here, but hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll try to make my videos a little more, put together, in depth, you know, get my information organized a little better. But I'm hoping to see this knife a lot more in social media and on the internet. I mean, just an absolute fabulous, fabulous outdoorsman knife. Just freaking awesome. So, all right, thanks guys. Enjoy.